Maybe you're starting to explore a career as an appraiser and want to know if now is the right time to get started. Or you're measuring your career span in decades and want to find out more about the latest apps, technology, and resources that can make your life and work a bit easier. Get the answers and insight you need with Beyond the Numbers, a podcast from McKissock Learning. I'm Julie Mohlendorp-Floyd, course and curriculum developer and instructor here at McKissock. Join me and an expert guest each week as we dive into the topics that matter most to appraisers, from industry and education news to marketing and other insights to help you run your business more effectively. If you'd like to stay at the forefront of appraisal news, boost your career, or just learn more about the profession, subscribe to Beyond the Numbers with McKissock Appraisal at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Hope to see you there soon. Welcome to Beyond the Numbers with McKissock Appraisal. I'm your host, Julie Mohlendorp-Floyd, course and curriculum developer for McKissock and certified general appraiser in Missouri and Kansas. And today we're talking E&O insurance. What is it? How does it work? And do I even need it? So I try to pay attention to what people are talking about in the profession. And I saw a common thread from newer appraisers to the profession that said, I don't understand E&O insurance. So I thought, okay, this will be a great podcast topic. We can talk E&O. What are the basics? What do you need to know? So I asked a couple of my appraiser connections. I said, give me some recommendations on a guest who could help with E&O insurance. And there was a theme. There was a theme in the responses. And the theme was Isaac Peck. It came up over and over and over. And I believe someone even said, there's only one answer to your E&O question, Isaac Peck. So when my appraiser connections speak, I listen. So joining us today is Isaac Peck, president at OREP Insurance Services. Thanks for being with us today, Isaac. How are you?
Thanks so much for having me, Julia. You flatter me. I'm really glad to be here.
Awesome. So we're just going to dive right into the E&O basics. What does E&O stand for? What is it?
Yeah, so I'm with a company called OREP Insurance, and we provide E&O insurance to over 10,000 appraisers nationwide.
Okay.
And E&O stands for Errors and Omissions Insurance. So if you make an error or an omission in your professional services, then E&O insurance would cover you for that or defend you. It's also called professional liability insurance.
Okay.
So E&O and professional liability kind of mean the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And all kinds of different professionals carry E&Os. So attorneys, doctors carry what's called malpractice insurance,
Right.
which is a type of professional liability. The E&O is for professionals, and it's meant to protect them and cover them if they make an error when they're providing professional services.
Okay.
So for appraisers specifically, if you reported the incorrect square footage, or you misreported the zoning, or you didn't provide, defensible or supported adjustments, right?
Okay.
Anywhere in your appraisal, if you make a professional error or a mistake, there are folks who might try to blame you and might try to come back and bring a claim against you for what they perceive would be a professional error on your part in your report.
Okay. So why does an appraiser need to have liability coverage? Can't they just say, hey, I made a mistake?
Well, this is America, Julie. We have more attorneys per capita than any other country in the world.
Sure.
And so there, especially for appraisers, there's a risk of litigation and lawsuits and claims being brought against them for professional mistakes that they might make in their report and in
Okay.
the research and those types of things. And so especially as you're, buying a house and saving for retirement and all those kinds of
Mm-hmm.
things, it makes sense to carry E&O insurance to protect you just in case anyone ever does bring a claim against you or file suit against you.
Okay.
We could talk about kind of all the different scenarios where that might happen, but it definitely does happen to appraisers.
Mm-hmm.
And so it protects you, your assets, your business. And the other reason, if that's not convincing to you, is that lots of lenders and clients require you to carry E&O
Right.
insurance. So banks typically don't want to send assignments to you unless you're carrying insurance.
Okay.
And there's all kinds of clients that are, you try to sign up for their panel, or you say, hey, I can help you solve your appraisal problems, and they'll say, that sounds great. Please give us a copy of your insurance so we can keep it on file. They want to know that you're insured.
Okay. So, what are the various types of E&O insurance out there? What are the types of coverages that appraisers might be looking at?
So E&O insurance is the big kind of in terms of the type of insurance that an appraiser might carry for their business.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a different type of insurance called general liability insurance,
Okay.
and that provides coverage for bodily injury and property damage in
Oh,
most cases.
okay.
And that's common, the local 7-Eleven down the street, or
Sure.
the gas station. Any retail establishment generally is carrying general liability if someone walks in to the establishment and slips and falls. So
Okay.
that's a standard slip and fall case. um, General liability is gonna provide coverage for that because it's bodily injury and property damage.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So appraisers don't carry general liability perhaps as often as they should,
Right. Okay.
because if you're on property and you're doing a subject property inspection, you know you might knock something over or
Oh,
cause
okay.
damage to the property. You flush a toilet
Mm-hmm.
and the toilet overflows. We've seen appraisers step in wet cement
Oh,
um,
that's not
after
good.
someone just poured the back patio. Um, And so there are certain E&O policies that include some bodily injury and property damage coverage
Okay.
inside the E&O policy. So OREPs, for example, we include $100,000 of bodily injury and property damage.
Mm,
So just don't
okay.
break anything over 100,000, and
Yeah.
you'll be okay.
So you're on a site inspection and you accidentally leave the toilet running or something
Yep.
overflows
Yep.
and in a vacant house. And yeah, that could mount up pretty quickly.
Yeah, we've seen appraisers open, the attic hatches, and
Mm-hmm.
insulation gets on, expensive
Okay.
coats, a mink coat, and then that needs to be cleaned and restored.
Oh, goodness.
Generally, those ones aren't too expensive, but
It could
you could,
be.
yep.
Most definitely. So I'm a new appraiser just starting out in my career, and I need to get E&O coverage. What should I look for? What questions should I ask when I'm looking at carriers?
Yeah, so it pays to look for a company that has a lot of experience in the appraisal profession. So if the worst were to happen and you were to face a claim or even a state board complaint,
Mm-hmm.
um, you don't want to be explaining to your claims adjuster what it is that an appraisal consists of, and what does an appraiser
True.
typically do. And so if you're insured with just any company, some insure tech that insures 300 other professions, then you're choosing a company that doesn't really specialize in your profession. And so first of all,
Okay.
I mean, we would say pick a company that has a deep specialization and subject matter expertise in the appraisal profession.
That
And
makes
then there's some
sense.
coverages that you'd want to look for, like coverage for discrimination claims.
Okay.
So most policies are going to exclude discrimination
Oh,
claims
wow.
as a matter of course, and that's because just like fraud, all insurance policies exclude fraud.
Right.
Insurance carriers don't want to. They don't want to. In many cases, it's illegal for them to sell policies that cover fraud, um,
Okay.
and so they take a similar approach with discrimination. They don't want to be selling insurance
Sure.
policies that cover discrimination. And so for appraisers, that's particularly problematic because we're seeing, hundreds of HUD discrimination complaints filed against
Yep.
appraisers, and um, at least a half dozen lawsuits alleging discrimination filed against appraisers. And so you want to pick a program, again, that specializes in the appraisal profession and provides discrimination claim coverage. OREP's policy is
Okay.
one that does.
That does. That's good to know.
And then another coverage that it makes sense to look out for is state board complaint coverage.
Right. Right. I had
So,
that actually. That was my next question. Someone said they
okay.
were they were filing a complaint with me against my state board or against me with my state board. What do I do? When do I notify my E&O? How do I handle that?
Yeah, so I mean, Fannie Mae just came out with a report where they reveal that they've just for the year 2022, the 1 year, they filed 1,086 state board complaints against
Wow.
appraisers.
1,086. That's a lot. That's a
Yes.
lot.
And so if we assume that Freddie Mac is doing even close to that, we're talking about just the GSEs filing 2,000
2,000.
state board complaints against
Right.
appraisers,
Right.
plus all of the upset homeowners and
Sure.
borrowers and buyers. And so, thousands of complaints are getting filed against real estate appraisers every year.
Mhm.
So it makes sense to pick an E&O policy that's going to provide some coverage for that. So assuming that you've purchased a policy that provides, we call it disciplinary proceeding coverage.
Okay.
And for example, our individual appraiser policy would provide $10,000 as a reimbursable expense to you.
Oh,
And
okay.
so first of all, you'd want to report it right away to your E&O insurance carrier.
Okay.
You'd want to seek out a USPAP expert and an attorney to advise you in
Definitely.
responding to the state. And so,
Okay.
say in OREP's case, we would reimburse you up to 10 grand
Mm,
for any attorney expenses that you incur, and if you hire a USPAP expert to help review your response to the state or review your report, we'd reimburse you for that. But we really highly encourage you to seek help. Um, that don't try
mhm.
to face off against the state all by yourself, and don't just fire off a response to the state without having
Sure.
somebody else put their eyes on it and give you some feedback on your response.
Yeah, that's an emotional time, but yes, stopping, having someone to consult with that has experience in the process would definitely
Yep.
help. What about if someone wants to sue me? They don't like my value, they want to just sue me. How does that work with
So
E&O?
you're going to want to notify your agent, your insurance carrier right away. Excuse me.
Okay.
And one of the reasons you want to do that is you have a duty to report claims and potential claims to your insurance carrier.
Okay.
Um, but that there are certain provisions, exclusions in the policy, right? You're not allowed to appraise your own property, right?
Mhm.
You're not
Sure.
allowed to commit fraud. But assuming that you're facing a claim where there's coverage under your policy,
Mhm.
um, your E&O insurance policy is going to hire counsel to defend you if
Okay.
necessary. They're going to advise you and defend you against that claim.
Mm,
And if it needs to go to court and they need to defend you in court, they'll take it all the way through the defense. And if you did do something wrong and you lose the case, or you make a decision between yourself and the insurance carrier. Hey, we think we should try to settle this for a small amount of money instead of, spending $50,000 fighting it out in court.
Sure.
Your policy would pay the damages there.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. So I do a lot of appraisal review, and I see a lot of appraisals that actually put that declaration page of their E&O insurance in every report they do. Do you need to do that? What do you recommend with that?
So we would recommend not doing that if you can.
Right. That was my thought. I thought I would ask the expert.
So ultimately, it's a business decision on the appraiser's part, because appraisers do work with clients that absolutely require that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we don't, if you really want to work with that client, we wouldn't ask you to kind of turn down any client that requires that as a condition
Right.
of you working for them. So in some cases, for appraisers, it might be necessary to do that. We would say avoid that if possible. And the main reason for that would be buyers and borrowers are frequent claimants against appraisers, and they're fond of finding your deck page and your appraisal when they realize that they should be blaming the appraiser for something. And sometimes they'll just write a letter to the insurance carrier and say, "Hey, I'm Mr. Buyer, and I feel I've been wronged because of this reason or that reason or this
Ugh,
reason."
not
And
good.
so they'll bring a claim to the insurance carrier, kind of, "Here's my bucket. I would like some money, please." And often they're not represented, right? They haven't even
Right.
talked to an attorney. And it's not that those claims are particularly dangerous or something that we have to be afraid of, because often
Mm-hmm.
it's an unsophisticated claimant that's not represented, and we can hire an attorney to respond to them and shut it down. But that it creates an additional opportunity for them to an additional target on the
Mm,
appraiser's back, if you will.
right. That was my thought when I saw them in the appraisal report. But then I saw it often enough that I thought, maybe I missed something and we all should be doing that. So good to know that that's not necessary unless it is a specific client condition. It may be required.
Yeah, and if there's a serious problem, right, and you really made a mistake, it's not as if not having your report, your deck page and your appraisal is going to
Right.
save you, right? They're going to find you and serve you and sue you.
So again, let's go back to I'm the new appraiser. I'm looking to get E&O coverage. What kind of questions are you going to ask me before you set up my policy?
So we're going to ask, do you have a trainee license? Are you a certified general, certified residential, or
Okay.
licensed residential? Um, We'll ask kind of what type of work you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, are you primarily a residential or a commercial appraiser?
Okay.
Are you doing properties over $3 million
Mm-hmm.
that are valued at over 3 million? We'll ask if you have any claims or complaints against you currently, and hopefully you
Okay.
don't. Um,
Hopefully.
and we'll ask about your revenue
Okay.
in most cases. And those, the our application process, at least at OREP, is all online, and it's super seamless. We don't have 100 different questions that we're asking you. We're just trying to, are you commercial or residential?
Okay.
How much volume are you doing as an appraiser, and are you doing high value properties? Those are
Interesting.
some of the big considerations for us.
So, why don't you give us your website real quick? So, if someone wanted to check out OREP, where would they go?
Yeah, you can just go to orep.org.
That's easy. OREP.org.
Yep,
Great.
we've been serving appraisers for over 22 years, and we're blessed to help over 10,000 appraisers every year with their E&O insurance.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Isaac. So, thank you for listening to Beyond the Numbers with McKissock Appraisal. I'm your host, Julie Molendorp Floyd, and let's give a big thank you to our guest today, Isaac Peck, for giving us a lesson on the ins and outs of E&O insurance. Thanks again, Isaac.
Thanks so much for having me, Julie.
Be sure to please rate, review, and subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And also be sure to check out unlimited learning membership at McKissock.com to discover courses, learning library resources, and more to help you expand your skill set and grow that appraisal practice. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for tuning in to this week's Beyond the Numbers. If you'd like to stay at the forefront of appraisal news, boost your career, or just learn more about the profession, be sure to subscribe to Beyond the Numbers with McKissock Appraisal at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for stopping by.